Well, they're prepping the start-finish line for you as we speak. They've actually already rolled through once before TV cameras join the action. And in fact, today, it's the shortest stage of this year's BinckBank Tour. Just, well, apart from the time trial, obviously. 154 kilometres in length today. Lanaken, round again, and again and again. We have done one large loop. And in fact, we have two small ones to take. Yesterday, well, as per usual, and as predicted, we had a short breakaway. They decided to do their thing. They were wound in towards the end, and we were heading for an inevitable sprint finish. How would it pan out, though? That was the big question. And to be honest, it was a bit rougher than you might have thought. They were duking it out for bonus seconds and indeed Primus sprints along the way. The bonus seconds, in fact, were came after this, when our man who wore the black and green jersey, Piet Allegaert, decided to enhance his position in that jersey competition. Both he and Elmar Riders have been in the break, and competitivity award is kilometres in the break. Thankfully, no breaks to report despite this big tumble. Ryan Gibbons, who got himself back in yesterday after a puncture, unfortunately then found himself back on the deck, so things weren't going very well for the Dimension Data sprinter. Everyone else remounted and got themselves to the line. And what about that line? Well, one's been drawn in the sand by Peter Sagan at the moment, and despite the best efforts of the likes of Jempi Drucker, it was always going to be wound in on when the road finally straightened out, and a line to glory has been drawn by Peter Sagan, as you can see. And yet again, another win. It means that he now closes the gap overall to 5 seconds. And indeed, the smart money is on him, of course, to take the title by the time we get to Gerardsbergen at the end of 7 days of racing. He's in determined mood at the moment and quite precocious and taking congratulations wherever it's offered. Saying well done to Stefan Kung of BMC Racing, who stays in the leader's jersey. Peter Sagan now leads the points classification, but is so close at hand as the result of the stage. Due to the crash, everyone given the same time. Some notable big names actually missing from that. Marcel Kittel decided to not contest the sprint and in fact handed over duties to Max Richesi, who looked a bit lost. Stefan Kung then remains in the lead, and his team say they are determined to protect it as long as they possibly can. He goes well in some lumpy stuff, but frankly, with the test on stage 6 into Hofalitza, we're not sure whether he'll hold on, but they're going to give it their best go. As Peter Sagan then 5 seconds down, and still rather strangely wearing ski goggles. One can only imagine it's for sponsorship reasons, but anyway. There we are. Felice Blankets, face of the race, handing over the flowers, which didn't last long. He cast those asunder rather sharpish. And there it is, points classification. Peter Sagan leads that, so he will be in the blue jersey today. Staying in the black and green is Piet Allegaert after his efforts in the breakaway. And indeed, there's the general combativity classification, and Allegaert leads that as well. The combativity award, by the way, is all down to time spent in the break, so kilometres gained in the break, which seems that, to be honest, the best way of doing it. Freddie Backart signing on for Glory today. Yes, it's as you can see, grisly conditions, and well, Van Kiersebulk as well for Wanty. They were first to the stage, so the early birds, as you will, but just not a very nice place to be, I'm afraid, podium-wise. Van Mark, well, what will he do? Well, at the moment, he's 33 seconds down overall, so he can be a challenge, and we know that he can go well. He'll go well on 5 and 7 stages, but what about stage 6? That's the big question. Philippe Gilbert with his eschewing the helmet just for the time being. But, yeah, getting a huge roar from the crowd. There was some others as well who decided to bring along the family. Not Nicky Terpstra, with his rather shishi, I believe it's a Bang & Olufsen earpiece. shared, of course, by Quick Step Floor's Marcel Kittel, who was absent and basically anonymous yesterday. Tim Wellens also here, and Andre Greipel, a man who's been disengaged from his own train on 2 days of sprinting. And frankly, it looks like it may well be ending in divorce. We will see. Van Emden signing on as well for Team Lotto Jumbo, who yet again will be looking after Dylan Groenewegen. This is Bram Tankink with his youngster on the balance bike, hence the stand, and he carried his Desperate Dan Chin up onto stage with the little one. Oh no, so keeping it in the family. As you can see, it was quite grim this morning, and in fact the arm warmers, with some leg warmers out there, the Italians looking that are here were looking particularly miserable, I must say, but there you go. United Arab Emirates hoping to get something out of this, and Gardini also here, as you know. He and Marco Kump and Ben Swift, well, possibilities for today, but when you find out about the breakaway today, you're going to be possibly in a bit of shock. Jens Kerkeler started his long odds today, sort of about 80 to 1, but he can go very well over the next 3 days, and he's not that far behind, and could be a good side bet for those of you. He's only just over half a minute down, by the way. So time then just about for us to go racing. Greg van Avermaet with his aero helmet on, clearly proving that he wants to get some pace about him today, and I think that's the way it's going to end. But frankly, these pictures shot a little bit earlier on. Marcus Burkhardt, German champion, just coming in. At least he's liveried up correctly, as is world champion Peter Sagan, as you'd expect, and starting as out and out favourite for the race. I mean, I don't think he's done anything to diminish that suspicion. Here's the man that leads at the moment, Kuhn. So he is carrying, despite the fact you can't see it, the green leaders jersey. And so when BinckBank, when they almost put a hole in the air bridge there, they're shooting blanks, don't worry. Who's not going to be doing that today? Well, I guess we're going to find out in a few moments' time. There are some teams that are running out of chances to get something out of this race. Those that sent quick men and really haven't got classics men for the final phase of this race over the next 3 stages after today. Today breaks the back of the race. It's 7 days of racing in total. This is stage 4. As you can see, it's a little bit grim. Cold rather than wet, but cold can be a nasty thing. And we've seen a few riders out there hay baling their arms, and in fact the rain has indeed joined us, as you can see, although not at the finish line just for the time being. So at least we're keeping dry in the commentary position today. This is our loop. Oh, we had a big one. We've had a big one. Why don't you have a couple of small ones as well? Well, there we are. That's your super loop today, I think you might say. And then we decide to go on something of a shorter affair, like this. And then, again, I hope you've got that in your head. It's Lanaken again and again and again, it seems, today. 2 minutes. That's our breakaway gap with 56.6 kilometres to go. And frankly, they're not hanging around at all. And yes, that's Andre Greipel. No, we're not in the peloton. He's in good company here, and he's decided that he wants to impose himself. He's got Pim Lichtart as well, the man who took a step back to step forward. He's gone to Roompot Nederlanden, so he's in the Tangerine. And they've been joined by the rather sizable figure, extraordinarily rangy, Niels Pollitt. If he ever got off the bike and just decided to yomp home, he'd probably still win. So they've got 2 minutes, this trio. They put the pace in when we got to the first Primus sprint of the day, and they decided just to push on. Now, I'm actually wondering whether Andre Greipel he's been criticised for his sprint approach early on. Stage 1, finishing 9th place. Stage 3, which is next sprinting day, that was yesterday, 13th place. And frankly, he doesn't like the attention. So if there has been any question marks surrounding him, and he's not got the most settled lead out, let's put it that way. Jesper de Boist is one of those that are in his train, and Nico Mace and Marcel Zeberg Letzenberg and Mace, yes. De Bois, not so sure. I think that's the problem with André Greipel. You've got to have a sense of being able to read each other in tight quarters. And it seems that Greipel hasn't quite settled into that role at the moment, so he's changed himself. Now, he usually goes well in the classics, André Greipel, for a fast man. And I'm wondering whether he's going to nick some time today. And he's actually targeting, finally, the golden kilo and the bonus seconds therein. What do you think, Brian Smith?
It is a bit of a strange one. It's been a strange start to the day. When we looked at the pictures of the start today, it looked as if we were in the Belgian Classics at the start of the year with the weather, and the riders wrapped up. But and then we've seen a lot of attacks earlier on. The race leader was involved with an attack earlier on, and it's one of these strange things. It was all together for the first Primus sprints taken by De Vries, but it was just after that sprint Greipel went on the attack, took with him Pollitt at the back here, and Lichtard decided to jump across to them. So we crossed the finishing line for the second time. Greipel knows the man in second because Pim Lichtard rode for Lotto for a few years, and obviously Niels Pollitt's a German rider, so all of them get on well.
Up to the threat. Bora here doing much of the work, and this is for Peter Sagan. Of course, he's wearing the blue points leader's jersey today. It's not the leader of the race, that's Stephen Kung. Uh-oh. Hello. Looks like we had an issue of some sort as André Greipel decides to push on, and both he and Pim Lichtard just distancing the rangy figure of Niels Pollitt at the moment, as we it gets a little bit lumpy, Brian, on this loop. They'll be doing this again. We've got a loop of today of 27.3. Thank you so much.
Here we go. He decides to try and go straight on here.
Yeah, we've had a couple of moments such as that during this race, actually.
Yeah, it's just on these paving stones, it gets a little bit slippy. They're back together again. But yeah, we're on these couple of loops of 27.3 kilometres in length. When we say lumpy, most people have been in Belgium in this part of the world. It means, you know, there's a few kind of flyovers and things like that. It's nothing too drastic. We go into the lumpy areas over the next 3 days, but yeah, this stage has been full of surprises so far. The race leader going on the attack, being all together very early on for the first checkpoint sprint, and then Andre Greipel, the sprinter of Lotto Soudal, who hasn't been anywhere in the first couple of sprint stages, decided to go on the attack. Took with him the man at the back with the big K on his back, Niels Pollitt, who doesn't really like cornering, maybe because he's you know, centre of gravity is higher up. And Piep Ligenthaard, who moved to Rompot from Lotto Soudal after I think it's 3 years there. So Andre Greipel will know them all, riding for the German national team, Pollitt, Piep Ligenthaard, an ex-teammate. So they held a maximum advantage, about 2 minutes and 35 seconds, but it's been pegged back somewhat by Bora Hansgrohe. The question is, Carlton, this golden kilometre coming up at 32.9 kilometres to go, 1:22. They're very capable of bringing these three riders back. Will it come into play today? That's the question. I know that Peter Sagan is only 5 seconds down. He could possibly win yet again. Looking at the last two sprint stages, he stands to be favourite yet again for this stage today. But he may decide that bring these riders back and have a go at taking some bonus seconds and maybe making sure of that leader's jersey. Well, you know, we've got this trio up front, and sometimes you get some surprises. I'm just wondering whether today that Andre Greipel, this is more than just proving something to his team and his teammates, but I think that's part of it. I think he wanted to show that he has actually got the power, and basically to his fans as well, of which I count myself one. He's disappointed over the 2 days where he was expected to do something, and on a day when he's not expected to do anything at all, at least at this point anyway, he's decided to go and burn himself out there. Does it offer up an excuse for not having to be there at the pointy end later on? But that is the thing. This is his attack now. This is the first time across the finishing line in Lanaken. So it was Greipel coming up the finishing straight. This was some time ago now, taking Pollitt with him. And Ligenthaard was to join them a little bit later. This was just after the Primus checkpoint sprints. But as a sprinter, you should not be going in breakaways. No. You should be just kind of following early on, maybe take the pressure off your team early on, but you shouldn't be allowed to go in breakaways. So to go in a breakaway, he's either going against team orders or he's been told, right, try and get something from this race today. It might split up. We've already seen the race leader try and go in a breakaway earlier on, so there might be a few surprises. But like you say, he's burning himself out. He'll not be anywhere in the sprint finish if it does come to a sprint finish, which most people are thinking it will do, because the rain is just, it's not coming down. It's kind of, it's not cold, but it's damp conditions. You can just see the rain on the lens. I don't think it will throw it down like it did in the time trial, but you can take Andre Greipel out of the equation, not unless we get a few more surprises in the last 50 kilometres where we get some counter-attacks. I think he's buying a pass here, not to be featuring in the end, which he doesn't believe in. It's a very strange one. I wouldn't be surprised if there was an argument at the breakfast table. A few comments went Andre Greipel's way along these lines. I speculate, but the lead-out train's been there. Where have you been, Andre? And so he's come out here after a couple of shredded wheat and decided to just say, stuff it, I'm out there. He looks angry. Yeah, well, that's the way he looks. But for 21 days in the Tour de France, that's what he does. He sits in the peloton, sprints at the end. That's his job. That's what he gets paid to do. Okay, we see him in the classics, and I like to see him in the classics. He's a strong rider, and he's done well for his team in some of the classic races over the cobbles. But when there was a lot of attacks earlier on today, the race leader going on the attack, maybe he get carried away with it, and then he found himself in front with Niels Pollard. Only one rider came across, and that was it. Maybe he was expecting more riders, more surprises, but it didn't happen. Now we have Team Sky with John Dibben at the front and Bora Hansgrohe. I can't see the logistic of the logics here of Lotto Soudal putting Greipel in the breakaway, because who else have they got to deliver a finish for them?
It's a given, Brian. They didn't put him there. He decided to go there. I'd be fascinated to find out what he's got to say for himself at the end of the day. But you know, he can clam up occasionally. But anyway, I'm never quite sure what he thinks of myself, actually. The last time I spoke to him, he said, "So you're the guy who screams a lot." Yeah, well, usually when you're finishing, Andre, but today, I don't know, maybe it's going to be his director sportif who's actually screaming at him. We shall wait and see. Thanks, by the way, for all of your company. Wendy Superfan is in. That's Wendy Everett from Taz. Wendy, I'll drop you a note a little bit later. She's a little bit confused. Lots of people needing advice. Wendy's in Tasmania. There's a lot of people in the locale who'd like to basically ask her some questions about how she keeps in touch with cycling so well. Wendy is an amazing character, by the way. She met her at the Giro d'Italia. She goes around the world. It was her dad that introduced her to cycling, and she's a massive fan of Eurosport. We're a fan of hers. If you'd like to join Wendy, and indeed everybody else, in the conversation, then please feel free to do so. It's at Carlton Kirby, CarltonKirby, or indeed at Bryce Smithy, BRISMITHY. And we'll do our best to answer your questions, including yours, Wendy. I'll DM you in a minute. A minute and 21 is the gap, and it's raining. Now, if it does get sketchy, it could be a roll of the dice that comes up. For Andre Greipel, we'll see. He's certainly got some strength around him, and people he trusts as well. He knows Pim Lichtart, and of course Niels Pollard, as you quite rightly said, speaks German. I think Pim probably does as well. So we'll see whether these guys have got the motivation to wind them in. They're certainly within range, but you never quite know the power of a trio like we've got up front and how much they're prepared to burn themselves today. If they're already feeling lightly toasted, will they go for the full fry-up?
I don't think it's big enough. I think when Greipel went on the attack, he was expecting maybe more riders to go with him. That didn't happen. Only Pim Lichtart decided to go across to Pollard and Greipel, and three of them are committed. At that time, his sports director could have had the opportunity of saying, look, just sit up and come back and save yourself for the sprints, but they've decided to push on. Still hoping that maybe something will happen. The rain will come down. You know, obviously a lot safer to be in the group of three in front than to be in the peloton, especially when the roads are kind of not completely wet. You know, there's some dry patches, wet patches. That's where it gets very dangerous. But for sure, Greipel will not be featuring if this comes to a bunch sprint today, which is predicted.
Yeah, there's a sort of a lockdown at the moment behind Bora and Sky, who are sharing duties. This trio working well together. Greipel does head off on occasion, doesn't he, classics wise, and I'm just wondering whether he's spinning up his legs to seeing how he can cope. Maybe he's got a battle plan for the last three stages of this race. What do you think?
Well, he is in good company. Pim Lichtart, strong rider. Niels Pollard, strong young rider at 23. So it's as far as I'm concerned, there's three strong riders, and the gap going up ever so slightly to 135, 137 now. So it's I don't think the peloton are chasing that hard. Doesn't look as if Peter Sagan is thinking too much about the golden kilometre, and maybe that was me wishful thinking more than anything, because over the last couple of golden kilometres they haven't overly raced it. So it does look as if these riders are trying to go all the way. Okay, it's not the longest stage of the tour, 154 kilometres, and maybe that's the thing behind the thought process of Andre Greipel. Strong enough, like you said before, in the Tour of Flanders and various other races, he gets involved, he goes in the breakaway, helps his own team out, and you can see there is a bit of face pulling in this breakaway. They are trying hard.
They certainly are. They mean this, and in fact they found, what, another 15 or so seconds on the pack as we stand. Having a loop as well, psychologically at least. They'll be coming back to, well, they'll be going through the golden kilometre in what, in about 12 kilometres time, they'll make it. So you've got some quick men who are assembling time. The trouble is that they're reasonably far down the order. Minute and 3 seconds down is Andre Greipel, so the best he could hope to be would be 54 seconds down after his efforts if he takes all three of the intermediate sprints. Niels Pollitt is the best placed of all three of them. He's the man from Katusha Alpecin that's on the front at the moment, doing a good job of pacing them all. He's at 53 seconds, so take 9 seconds off that, they'd be on 44, so back in contention, I guess you might say. And Pim Lichtart, he's on 54 seconds. It's all much of a muchness, really, but it does at least give us some fast men looking for time on the golden kilo. But I think more than that, they're going to try and hold on out there. They are clearly showing that they're not going to give this one up, Brian. They're going to take their chances today and power on.
No, they are. They're riding hard. You can see Greipel going to the front there and keeping the pressure on. Pollitt also wants to try and do something here. They lost Baptiste Blancart yesterday, and I think from what I read, Rick Zabel climbed off earlier on today. So every reason to be in the breakaway today. I just don't understand why Team Sky were riding at the front. Okay, it's to put a bit of confidence in their sprint train, but leave it all up to Bora. They've got the fastest man in the peloton at the moment.
.42, just over kilometres remaining. As you can see, it's a bit sketchy out there. Yesterday it was a drain cover that did for everybody. There's a few of those knocking around, some standing water as well because we've got rain. Well, it gets muddy in these parts as well. It always seems like agriculture never really stops. We've had the harvest, but they're reploughing and replanting already. A little bit of broken side to the road here, and in fact we've got this little cover which we'll be going through again because we're on our short circuit right now. There's been a couple of loops out and then back around Lanaken, and in fact next time by we'll begin again with 27.3 kilometres to go. But more importantly than that, in just under 9k's time we've got a golden kilometre. Will they really battle it out, Brian, or are they going for a bigger prize of actually staying away today?
Well, Greif, what we saw yesterday, he was the rider that decided to call off the charge about 50 kilometres out yesterday when they were trying to kind of break the peloton up a little bit. But today, they all know each other. I don't think they'll be battling for the bonus sprints. I think the person or... Yeah, the person that probably stands to benefit the most from this could be Niels Pollitt, the rider at the back. He's very capable of getting up some of the climbs, but I don't think they're thinking of the overall. I think it's more conserving energy and trying to go as far as they can into this stage. There's still possibilities, but with Team Sky at the front chasing, you know, I think as a sports director, or an ex-sports director, sitting back and watching Team Sky leading, well, Bora have already won the first 2 sprint stages. Let them do all the work, and I know that this is the last chance for a lot of these sprinters, and Sky want to install a bit of confidence in their sprinter. They're going to ride for Van Poppel or Viviani, and they're doing it from the front. The best chance to keep your sprinter safe is by riding near the front. But when you consider Sagan won the first stage, he done a very good time trial, won the second stage, sitting 5 seconds off the overall. Leave it to Bora to do all the chasing today. But Team Sky have decided to come up. You can also see BMC just hovering near the front. They're just looking after Stefan Kung.
It's amazing, actually. There's a lot of gifts being handed out there. Here's Piet Allegaert. He took a tumble earlier on today, by the way. So did Van Speybroek. A few others, I imagine, be decked before the end of the day, but let's just hope that they stay safe. It's sketchy, the surface that they've got to deal with, and in fact Sky really here at the moment are offering up support, albeit in a rather odd way, to Bora Hansgrohe and indeed BMC. Are the 2 teams that are benefiting from the efforts that they're putting in out front. I'm just wondering whether, you know, Sky likewise send what is essentially a sprinters team to look after Viviani. He hasn't delivered either. In fact, I didn't even clock where he finished yesterday because he was so far adrift. He was 41st on the first sprint day. I'll check in a moment for you. But I don't know, you have a battle plan. You come to a race such as this, Brian, and then you don't engage. And Viviani just seems to be... He's already got his ticket. He's always got his ticket to leave, hasn't he? I think that's what it is. Yeah,
he was 59th yesterday in the bunch sprint. So yeah, whether he caught behind the crash or not, he didn't overly feature. But I think they're riding for Danny Van Poppel today. But we'll see. It could be Viviani. The way they're placed at the moment, Viviani is sitting behind Danny Van Poppel, but that can all change in the run in towards the finisher. I just think that either Danny Van Poppel or is feeling very, very good because they want to, you know, they want to win. This is the last opportunity for the sprinters, and maybe Bora, having won 2 stages, have decided that, well, it's not for us to bring these 3 riders back. So if you want to try and win the stage, you go and try and do it, and we'll sit back and we'll benefit from it because we've already won 2 stages.
I wonder whether that's going to play into the hands of our breakaway here. Certainly could do. They've got 7k's to go until less than that, 6.5, before we get to our golden kilometre. You're going to try and count the bridges correctly today, Brian? Saying nothing. Yes, it's just to explain the golden kilo in case you don't know. This race, I think both this and Tour of Belgium used it in the past. Basically, it is 1 kilometre with 3 sprints within it. Each one gives bonuses of 3, 2 and 1, and it's a tough thing to sustain 1 kilometre of sprinting, and with these 3 it may well be that they all just share it out. We'll wait and see, but it was designed to tempt the fast men to pick up some bobby bonuses along the way, and it hasn't done so far. But if, without looking at the gaps and indeed knowing the circumstances of today, you just looked at the result and thought, well, Greipel, Pollitt and Lichtart, they must have all been together and they popped out and grabbed it. Well, no, they popped out for the Primus checkpoint sprint, which wins you some beer earlier on today, and indeed just kept going. So we've got a very, very high quality and rather surprising break. We thought we'd had well, 4 or 5 up the road from some of the invitee teams, and I know that Pim Lichtart now rides for Roompot Nederland, but yeah, he's a quality rider, sort of taking a step back, if you like, dropping out of the World Tour in order to step forward. Others have done that in the past as well, not least Cholik with your boys, actually, way back when. You can actually take advantage of just taking a step back sometimes in your career, Brian, to take some steps forward.
Yeah, there is an opportunity. Everybody wants to stay in the World Tour. It's the kind of first division within cycling. Nobody wants to kind of think about taking a step back to the kind of second division, but sometimes it can benefit you and give you a little bit of freedom. And when you get freedom and take your opportunities and get the results, then it can propel you back into the World Tour at a different level. And when I say a different level, then if you drop back into the second division and start winning a stage of the Tour de France, then your worth actually increases.
David says Pollitt has incredible teeth, Greipel has incredible thighs. What does Lichtart bring to the show? Probably a light heart. Maybe he's the Joker. Let's see, shall we? See if they're laughing at the end today. Yeah, I think, to be honest, I think it's always Greipel's calves that draw the eye. There you go. I still don't know what Greipel's up to today, but I'm hoping that we'll have some sort of... I think he's basically on freestyle today. It's as simple as that, and it's for our entertainment, so we're not complaining. We're going to take ourselves a commercial break, and then we will be back for our Golden Kilometre, which takes place in about 4.5 kilometres time. So we'll be back for that. In the meantime, Sky just keeping that tempo going rather nicely, and AG Tour Le Mondial also coming up to join the fun. There's been a strange one this race. We were asking questions yesterday about Marcel Kittel. He goes back to the car, has a brief chat, and it was basically a very, very brief chat. We speculated that it was going to be, not me today, just asked Max to go to exactly that marker, and Max Richesi was invited to go for the sprint. Didn't really make enough of it. I think he was a bit shocked, to be honest. So we'll see whether Kittel picks it up again today, and a few other anonymous sprinters that we'd like to see more of today. There we go. 1K to go. So essentially the flamme rouge for the, or the flamme jaune for the golden kilo. Flamme d'or. We'll stick with that from now on. So, are they going to race for this, or are they just going to share the burden?
They'll share, I think.
Yeah.
I don't think there's, there's any overall contender in here. So I think it'll be just a case of, they're committed to this breakaway. They wanted to try and see how far it could go. Maybe in these conditions, they maybe thought that the peloton may split a little bit. It might race a little bit because they certainly raced earlier on today, but peloton still all together, only 33 seconds behind the three riders in front. And yet again, for the second day in a row, AG2R Le Mondial are coming up and helping out the chase, and they rode very well yesterday, keeping towards the front, out of trouble. And Barbie had a nice result in the end.
Yeah, he did very well. They also worked hard on day one, actually. So there is your opening bonus. They don't look hyper motivated for it. It looks like the chase now is well and truly on. This is going to collectivise before we get through the ligne d'arrivée. Andre Greipel apologising to the camera back there, saying, oh, it's all right, I wasn't throwing that bead on at you. I was just getting rid of it. Just in case you were thinking, I was telling you to back off. But, yeah. Nice of Andre to sort of say, oh, sorry about that. Through they go. So, yeah, they've shared duties, but it's all over. Team Sky one side of the road. Oh, Quick Step Floors are a bit more motivated today. What can Francis Desjeux, or indeed what will they do today? I've got a feeling that Arnaud Demar might well pick it up. They've been hiding rather well and letting the other sprinters' teams actually pick up the cudgel today, and these are the guys that they're going to try and beat with it. This is the last of our intermediate sprints, carrying time bonuses. They've basically shared the duty of it, but 25 seconds is all they hold, and they've lost in the last kilometre 20 seconds.
Yeah, Lichtard taking all three, which means that 9 seconds off his deficit this morning of 54 seconds. So, and I think Lichtard is a rider that certainly can go well over the kind of classic stages, and he'll be wanting to try for a good overall performance here. So, yeah, obviously chat in the three-man break that they wouldn't battle it out for these sprint points, and Lichtard takes the maximum seconds on offer.
Yeah, they've shared the duty rather than the spoils, if you like. But Pim Lichtard then goes to 45 seconds overall. So yeah, you never know. With days that are more favouring to him. To come, AG2R, sorry, Amstel Gold Race tomorrow as we head to Sittard. It's a mimic of that race. Then the Houffalize, Liège-Bastogne Liège day is stage 6, and then Gerardsbergen or Gerardsbergen for the Flanders day for the 7th stage, where we'll find our champion. So this is how it went: 3, 2 and 1. Well, this is the second sprint now. They're just rolling through, but Pim Lichtard's name staying at the top, as you can see. Lichtard, Pollitt and Greipel with the last of them. So 17 seconds, and a bit of a squeeze here. Now, with 30.9 to go, this will be, what, 3Ks out when we are, 3.5Ks out when we're racing fully on the final lap. And it's that uneven surface, some nasty right-hand curves as well. At least it straightens out on the approach to line, though.
Yeah, there are some technical nature of this course, and that's why a lot of the teams are coming towards the front. Only 18 seconds for these three riders. In fact, the blue jerseys of Quick Step Floors have come to the front. Kaiser is here and setting a good tempo. You can just see the front of the peloton starting to stretch a little bit. So 30 kilometres to go, and Quick Step, I know we said yesterday after a very disappointing first stage with Quito that they really have to think about coming up early, but 30 kilometres today is very early, starting to think about dominating the front of the peloton, because these riders are only 14 seconds or 16 seconds in front now.
How many times have Quick Step actually done too much work and then seen it all just fall to pieces? Trek worked hard yesterday for Edvard Thun, who got himself a decent finish. In fact, he was just behind Peter Sagan on the stage, ahead of Barbier from AG2R Le Mondial, and both of those teams, well, AG2R Le Mondial are working. Trek not so much today. Andre Greipel's done an awful lot, and that looks like he's suddenly freewheeling all over. In fact, rattles those rather sizable lips around that mouth of his. He can look very pinched and mean under a glove. He's a lovely bloke. But I think he's realised that today his day is done. Could well be that he was just spinning it up to see how he's functioning at distance in a small group for the next couple of days. I expect he'll probably have another dig. He's certainly not going for the sprint today by his moves early on as part of that breakaway. Indeed, here's the pursuit. We'll be crossing the finish line fairly soon, and in fact in 2 kilometres time it will be the third and final passage of the line before we do our last loop, so the penultimate crossing, if you like, I beg your pardon, before we finish. So they'll hear the bell, is what we're trying to say, in a rather ham-fisted manner. Road surface is getting wet, the rain's still coming down, the camera's pointing backwards, which is why it's not being spattered with the rain that is falling. The helicopter shots, we're not using too many of them because through the haze it's difficult to see too much. So it's ground cameras at the moment, and look at how much respect they're giving these curves. I guess you never know when a storm drain's going to pop up like it did yesterday. Yeah,
it very much looked like this finish to this stage today could be very tricky. A lot of the riders giving these corners a lot of respect, and you got to remember we are coming up to the finishing line for the third passage of it, with 27.3 kilometres to go, so they'll know what's coming up. But these three riders, Grijpo, Lichtard and Pollock, trying to kind of hang on, all this slender advantage, but Grijpo looks behind. AG2R, the Mondial, are the team that's riding on the front, controlling things. Quick Step Floors came up as well. It's all about keeping your rider safe, but on these big boulevards it's quite easy to be able to do that. Just before this it was fairly technical, and you don't want to get involved with any spills, but it looks like Bora Hansgrohe on the right hand side have started to look after their world champion and points leader of this race, Pires again.
What about Groenewegen today? I think he's somebody else that's disappointed so far. He finished fourth yesterday, so he's quick finishing, but his timing seems to be out. He was fourth on stage one as well. If he can get that right, he might have a chance today. He's certainly got a chance, but will he deliver? So here we are. This is your start-finish straight, essentially. So it's a gentle sort of false flat downhill, and then it picks up again at around about the 200-metre mark. So hence Grijpel's out of the saddle. So we're on a little crest, Brian, nothing too serious. It's basically they've dug under the highway here, and they're going up and over another one, which is where they've decided to have our finish line today. And it's Peter Sagan's men, Bora, that share duties now with AG2 Le Mondial, and won't be tied anyone who's written off Peter Sagan today. He's going to be at the pointy end once more. I would think so. That last corner at the roundabout comes with just under 1,500 metres to go, but there are a few tricky corners within the last 4 kilometres. We've already seen that, and the riders will know it. So if the pace is up, which I think it will be pretty much in one long line coming along there. But then again, when we come into that roundabout sweeping right-hand corner, we have got about just under 1,500 metres to go to the finish line, which you rightly say comes in and dips down and then dips up towards the finishing line. Just looking at Sunweb trying to get themselves into a decent place at the moment, at least to line out. And they're almost dirt riding. They're in the ditch here, as if you could find one on a modern highway, but there is a storm drain runoff area, and they've been squeezed. Phil Bauhaus, he really messed up yesterday after doing a spectacular job on stage one. It's probably a lack of experience, quite frankly, but we'll see how he manages to pick himself up today. I think, well, I had Sagan and then Bauhaus as a cheeky side bet on stage one. I'm sort of giving it going the same way again, although Bauhaus is no cheeky side bet anymore. He's very much up there. So, as you can see, is the green jersey of Stefan Kung. He's got ambitions of taking this as deep into this race as possible. He is a Swiss. He doesn't mind a few lumps. Can he possibly survive stage 6, which I think is going to be his biggest challenge, and hold off a challenge of Sagan? Well, that's the thing. He's there at the top of the leaderboard, and everybody will be trying to take seconds from him, and his team will have to take control. But the best place to be
is at the pointy end of this race, right at the front, keeping out of trouble, because we do come into these towns, we do have some lefts and rights, and yeah, let's hope everybody manages to stay up.
Well, Greipel's been reabsorbed, as you can see. Pollitt's about to be, and Pim Lickdart as well, so it'll be all together. Couple of tumbles out there. Miles Scottson has taken a tumble. Michael Hepburn is just changing his back wheel. He's got a rear puncture, so he's just helping out the engineer, who's going to jump in a few moments' time. So already releasing the back wheel. Clever thing to do. 23 kilometres to go, though, and the pace is up, especially with some of these pinch zones, as you can see. This guy's still working very, very hard. AG Tour Mondial did quite a bit, but at the moment, it's Peter Sagan's men from Bora. They crossed the start-finish line, which is featured on several loops so far. Next time by, it will be the finish line itself. And no surprise if it'll be Peter Sagan that crosses the line first. Brian, who is your pick today?
Sorry, good question. Why not Peter Sagan again? But I think we have to kind of park him up to the side. He's won the first two sprint stages, and I think has to be a favourite today. So who else is going to challenge him? And I think possibly Dylan Groenewegen.
Yep. I think Dylan Groenewegen is definitely part of proceedings. This is the back of the peloton. Now, this is Vaugrenard. He's not part of the lead out for Arnaud Demar. I haven't seen anything of Francis Dejeux, so I'm going to go for a bizarre one today. I'm going to assume that they've actually been looking after themselves. and are going to have something left at the end. So will we see the French tricolour, or will it be covered in a rain jacket? Who knows? But there you go. Just for my own amusement, I'm going to go for Arnaud Démare. I don't really believe he's going to be a feature. But he's a decent bike handler. I know it's not a technical finish today, but he won't be worried on any of these approach corners. What I'm trying to say is he may well be reasonably relaxed. Let's wait and see. Hopefully not too relaxed. 22.2 kilometres to go, but yeah, like you, I think it's Sagan's choice again. What about Viviani? What's happened to him? Has he just sort of lost motivation within Team Sky and is wanting a new start?
Well, I'm not too sure. You can just see Ian Stannard pushing hard on at the front, pushing that hard on. He's just trying to stay on the road here. But Viviani, I think more Van Poppel than Viviani today, but we'll have to kind of wait and see. But look at the amount of green helmets towards the front, and that's the team of Peter Sagan, Bora Hansgrohe. You just see him in his blue jersey. But Burkhardt just pops out there. He wants to make sure that Sagan is there. The pace is up. Ian Stannard is keeping the pace high at this moment, trying to cause some splits in the peloton. Although it doesn't look too technical, but the elastic band, as soon as that strings out, it can snap, and we get some riders being dropped now.
Oh, well, that looks like the end of my hopes for Démare, because that was Jacopo Guarnieri. Super lead-out star for Démare. And he's been teed off, I'm afraid. So that looks like the end of that little wistful thought. But there you go, that's all it ever was. 21.2 Ks to go, and the attrition rate is starting to happen. This is a now, and it's not the moment for him. Strange one for him to come here, actually, but we'll see how he goes in the next few days. As you can see, the wind is not exactly blowing a hoolie today. These guys are going to pick up the pace as if they haven't already. The pace that's already been injected, Brian, is starting to take some prisoners. Yeah, it's Ian Stannard decided for Team Sky to come to the front. He's doing all the work, all the hard work at the front of the race. He knows this course, everybody knows it, and it knows it can be fairly treacherous, so he's gone to the front, the easiest place to be. You know, you can see the road in front of him. I'm not saying it's he's having an easy time of it. You can just see him grimacing, but yeah, in these sort of conditions you really want to be in the front, and with just over 20 kilometres to go, looks as if Team Sky want to try and kind of take control of this race and make sure that they are in this stage to win. Here's Peter Sagan. You can see him dead centre in the blue points leaders jersey. He's got German champion Markus Berger on his wing as we speak. Sky just rolling the changes through, and in fact they've got a reasonable amount of personnel up front. I haven't seen Viviani though, so I think it will be Danny Van Poppel today.
There's your pick.
Oh, there he is. See you, Arna. Said it was wistful. As soon as I saw Guarnieri go, I thought, well, that's the end of that one then. I picked too early. 20.2 Ks then from home, and Peter Sagan has rolled down the arm warmers. Looks like he's wearing boxing gloves.
Well, that's saying that you roll up his sleeves. He's just rolled down his sleeves, but he's meaning business today. Yep. And Sky have moved Danny Van Poppel up towards the front. The green jersey being very attentive towards the front as well. And just wanted to see if he actually throws these arm warmers away or gives them to one of his teammates. But you just see the tail of the peloton now all on one line. It's important to stay near the front. We say this pretty much every race, but in these conditions you have to stay near the front because you never know what's going to happen in front of you. But it does look as if AG2R with Jan Bakelands, Peter Sagan's team with Bora Hansgrohe, Sky, all kind of massing towards the front now.
So we've parked Sagan to one side. If he's and look at him, look how sprightly he looks. He's in determined mood, and that's what we love. Kung's done a good job actually to keep himself towards the pointy end, and BMC have been protecting him rather well. What's his chances of carrying this jersey all the way to Gerardsbergen, would you say?
I think it's going to be very difficult because he has the leader's jersey, and people want to take that off him. Maybe if he was in second place or third place, it might have stood a better chance. You can follow the wheels more than anything, but he's in the lead, and it does mean that other people have to try and take it away from him. Oh,
there we are. I think it was neutral wheel, and then one he actually wants. So Bram Tankig is back underway. He'll be carrying his Desperate Dan, sort of stubbly beard up towards the front. Has he finally clipped in? Finally got away. That was a mess.
It was, but that's what happens when neutral stops. You've got to remember there's gaps appearing. You know, you look at the team cars. The first car you've got is a neutral service car. That's the quickest wheel you're going to get, and okay, not the fastest wheel. Luckily enough, Lotto NL Jumbo car was there pretty quickly, allowing him to get his own wheel, and he just had to pop his chain on and he'll be back. The reason why he wants to try and get back as quick as he can is because he's an essential part of the lead-out train for Dylan Groenewegen if he wants to try and win today.
Yeah, Tim Bonneville-Gins is, of course, protecting Greg van Avermaet, our BMC. It's a good call, but we'll see. They're, at least PR-wise, they're talking up Stefan Kung at the moment, but yes, you're absolutely right. He's within striking distance. More than that is Peter Sagan, who starts today 5 seconds down in the overall, and he could well go into the lead with a victory today. In fact, with a 10 seconds bonus, then surely that would be it. But we'll see. I think there's going to be some big time gaps out there. There's clearly some sprinters who are not motivated. Haven't seen Andre Greipel yet. We've seen Demar going backwards with Gagneri, his lead-out man. And with this hot and cold that the riders have experienced, those who've been to the Tour and further south and then come into these grisly conditions, I wouldn't be surprised if we've got some tummy upsets starting to show themselves as well. Bauhaus men, the black and white, you see their black stripe down their backs at the moment. They're doing a fantastic job of getting him into position. Can they deliver? And it continues. Janssen van Rensburg, I'm just seeing whether he's got himself a puncture front by the look of it. And so it's looking a bit sketchy. He's just riding on with a tubular and waiting for a replacement. Meanwhile, the hurt kept up, and it's BMC on behalf of the leader Kung that are going for it right now. And there, Bauhaus looking ominous. Bora have just lost one of their trusty men for Peter Sagan. Didn't catch who it was. Yeah, I heard it happen, and he had the blowout, and that's why Bora Hansgrohe knocked it off at the front, and straight to the front came the team of BMC, trying to keep Stefan Kung out of trouble here more than anything. Very, very important in these conditions. But you could hear the blowout of the Bora Hansgrohe rider, and so many punctures at this point too. All of a sudden, it's the mixed roads that we were telling you about, with a little bit of gravel when they're not finished at the side. So you take on some country roads at your peril at this level, because quite often the centre of the road is mobbed. The only way to get through is to go to the edge of the road, and it's not best finished, the asphalt surface. They're on a good road at the moment, but we've carried some punctures out from underneath the trees, I'm afraid, with 16.2 to go. It's getting very lively, Brian, and United Arab Emirates are also coming to join the front. Andrea Gardini looked sort of purposeful today. Don't be surprised if he shows his face. Yeah, Greg van Avermaet comes to the front, the Olympic champion, looks behind. He's got some teammates just behind him. The most important thing is to keep that green jersey on the back of Stefan Kung today. And it only takes a crash within the last few kilometres for that to happen. You've got to remember, once you get to the 3 kilometre to go, if you do crash within that, you get the same time as the winner. Broken side to the road here, country roads, and if you drift into the gravel, you're going to be in danger of getting yourself a puncture. Now, with the mixed surfaces that we've had here today, it's been reflected in quite a few punctures in the last sort of 5 minutes or so. They're working hard here. Lotto, likewise. I can't believe this will be for Greipel later on. Probably Jesper de Boist will be given a chance. They'll be thinking Chase Benoot for deeper into this race, I think, as well. 15.3 kilometres, another little bit of a rise, and look how messy this road surface is. To have this many riders coming through, it's a narrow strip of black, isn't it, that they're playing with? Yeah, that's why you've got a lot of riders riding hard at the front of the peloton at the moment. Is because of road space, and all it needs is a small incident to happen in one of these corners, and all of a sudden, you know, there's a crash all over the roads, and the front of the peloton will continue on, and if you're too far back, you're caught out, and you know, you could be losing a minute here this far out if you do have if there is a crash in front of you. So that's why BMC have come to the front. They've got the Olympic champion in second place here, and also you've got Vliegen, sorry, that was up there in the sprint yesterday. It's because it's fairly dangerous around these corners. All it needs is one crash, and on these smaller roads, the roads it could be finished for some of the GC contenders. Just look at the spit of gravel here. It looks like a car's been through and has actually carried gravel right across the road, almost like somebody's spun the wheels of a larger vehicle. And I'm afraid there was a whole load of gravel there. I was sorry for my little exclamation. I was thinking that the gravel may well have brought some down on that rather sketchy corner. 14.4 to go. They're motivated, Brian, there's no doubt.
Yeah, a lot of it is just protection at the moment. You see the green jerseys being protected. The blue jerseys of Quick Step are protecting their rider, and I think it might be Lampard they're just kind of looking after. Can't see Kitto at all if he's going to be involved with this sprint today. So a lot of the teams, it's just a protection mode. It's still too far out, 14 kilometres to go. Start thinking about your sprinter. Your sprinter, like we've seen the last couple of sprints, really has to make his way towards the front and stay near the front as much as possible. But most of the teams are riding for their potential GC contender and keeping them right out of trouble.
Yeah, Richese yesterday got the late call to come and have some fun. Just wondering whether he's going to now it's actually the battle plan for Quick Step Floors, just to give Massimiliano does some great work. And straight away Movistar pick it up. Now not an out-and-out sprinter here, but Dowsett knows how to set a tempo, and indeed we'll see who decides that this is a game worth playing at the moment. 2 off the front.
Yeah, good effort there by Dowsett. It takes with him 1 to Group Gobert rider. So we've seen Dowsett try these things before, and okay, they've not always come off, but I think a good time to have a crack.
Yeah, why not? 13.4 out, and if sprinters teams are starting to assemble themselves and think they're going to have everything their own way, then potentially think again. You're looking at the head of the race right now. Alex Dowsett is a terrific time trialist, as you know, and that sort of tempo, he's got some pace about him on occasion. In fact, they're almost crossing wheels. They're slow. They're so tightly reined together here. Well, they're giving this a proper dig with 13.1 from home. And setting the chase is Markus Burkhardt, the German champion, on behalf of Peter Sagan and the rest of Bora Hansgrohe. Getting back in here is Bram Tankink. We saw him waiting for the correct wheel. It looked like the right thing to do. He's got teammate Lisa there, who will come and say hi to in a few moments' time. But they'll be working for Dylan Kronenweg, and I think he's got a good chance today. Another of these 90-degree turns, and as you can see, 4 in, 4 wide in, and then 2 wide on the exit. And still with this pair up front, led by Alex Dowsett at the moment. Still haven't quite clocked who it is. A little bit further back, that's Postelberger, I'm afraid, who he was the one that had a technical a few moments ago, but he's back on his bike and indeed back in. Bora were given to waiting for him, which was interesting. I'm not sure Sagan needs the entire lead-out train, but he wants his teammates around him. These guys still keep it going with 12.3 kilometres to go. I don't think they've got a hope, but it was a nice little try, a little foil. Strange things have happened though, Brian.
Yeah, it's the best place to be now. The New Zealander Dean Smith that it went with Alex Dowsett, and the two of them working well together. Dean Smith could possibly get a top 10 in the sprint finish today, a good sprinter, but decided to follow Alex Dowsett's wheel. And Burkhardt came to the front because he showed respect for Alex Dowsett. Everybody knows that he's very capable of going long on a stage like today, but a good effort here from both these riders. Not too sure they'll be able to hang on, but like we're saying already, with the rain coming down these slippery corners, anything could happen in the run into the finish, and that's why it's very important to look after your GC contender. A lot of them aren't too interested in the sprint for the time being. They're more so interested in keeping their potential GC contender safe, because if there's a crash happens in, say, this roundabout here, the GC hopes of some of the riders could be gone.
They could indeed, and with the rain, as you quite rightly point out, now being a factor, anybody, well, it could be anyone from themselves. Let's have a look here. Well, they spear it right and left. It's almost equidistant both sides, and thankfully the main body of the chasing peloton are through cleanly. Good work. Likewise for this pairing up front. Yeah, they are. 11.2. It's probably now, I would imagine, going to be registered as a gap. What do you think, about 10, 12 seconds as it stands? With 11.1, the sort of pace that Dowsett can set has got to be matched by those behind, and they're busy trying to get themselves into colour order. Bauhaus's black and white boys are there. United Arab Emirates with their red helmets.
But the thing is, nobody's taking it up.
No,
everybody's looking after their GC contender. The sprinters teams are trying to come towards the front. And Dowsett and Dean Smith are extending their lead ever so slightly now. 16 seconds, and Alex Dowsett got a bit between his teeth now. He knows he's got an opportunity here, and it's up to the riders behind the Trek Segafredo. Are they going to try and ride this back, or are they just playing safe?
Well, they've hidden for much of the day. They'll be working for Edvard Tuns, no doubt about that. Andrea Greipel finding himself out the back at the moment, having had his fun out there. I'm still don't know what he was actually up to. Vakoc from Quickstep, not that far ahead of him, but Greipel, busy day today for him. It's getting busier for this pairing. Deon Smith, the Kiwi, sharing duties with Alex Dowsett, who then puts the hands, as you can see, in that familiar style of his. He's really got his head down with 10 Ks to go. It's 18 seconds. They can't afford to give them too much of a rein here.
No, they can't at all. Quality pairing in front, and you know, Alex will try and go the whole way here. He's in time trial mode at the moment. He's got some help. Sometime he finds himself in the situation where he's on his own, but it's Trek Segafredo in the red with Pedersen, the Danish champion, coming towards the front to try and help out, but still it's not full gas. They're kind of spread across the road. Nobody wants to really take this on.
Well, they may well all be staring themselves into the abyss at the moment. It's 22 seconds now, and second by second, or metre by metre, they seem to be extending it out front. This is a very good push by Smith, and indeed Dowsett. Oh, look at this, good tempo. They're not hanging about. They mean this. 9.4 kilometres then. Let's talk about the run-in. From about 6 Ks out, we approach a gentle turn to the left, a gentle turn to the right, which brings us to 5 Ks, and then the road swoops round in a sort of a very flat banana, if that makes sense. That brings us to 4 Ks, and that's when it starts to get technical. We've got some rises and some big turns. One, the big turn after 4, big turn at 3.7, big turn at 3.5, big turn at 3. So that's the major turns, 1, 2, 3, 4, around about the 90-degree mark, each of them, but it's big highway, a bit like this, so you can choose some lines through. Then there's another turn, 90-degree-ish, at 2 Ks remaining, and around about 1,400 metres, there's a roundabout that you have to take a quarter of. So that suggests a sort of a roundabout hairpin, does it not? It's kind of, when you're dealing with a roundabout and taking just a quarter of it, it's a slightly technical, but once that's unwound, it's more or less straight to the line. So with about 1,300 metres, something like that, they will have a straight look, despite the fact that it does rise and fall ever so gently. Well, alarm bells are going off in 24 seconds, no surprise, with 8.4 kilometres to go, and the chase is on here. Yeah,
this is De Vries just coming up for the second Primus checkpoint, so he wants to take some points here. 2 points, you know, 2 riders taking the points up already, but De Vries wants to take some points in that competition, and he takes third. But at 18 seconds, you've got to remember, Alex Dowsett started the day at 18 seconds down on the general classification.
Check this out. This is Markus Berger, German champion, with Peter Sagan on his wheel, and that's all that's left, essentially, for Peter Sagan at the moment. It's possibly all he wants with 8 to go. Meanwhile, out front, still plying their trade, and they've still got 21 seconds. Can they hold this gap? They're doing a great job of it. They save their energies. Little shake of the head there from Dowsett. Doesn't want to come through.
Yeah, he's you know, they're speaking to each other, but Dowsett now pretty much virtually the leader on the road, courtesy of, or just as I say that, it goes down to 17 seconds, but they're trying hard. Deon Smith is with them, and you know, normally we see Dowsett do these things on his own. He has got some company. He will go as far into this towards the line as much as possible, but it's who wants to commit now to try and bring them back, and Dowsett and Deon Smith will be difficult to bring back.
Well, the biggest commitment is coming from Markus Berger at the moment, the German champion, working for his teammate Peter Sagan, who's in the blue jersey, the points leaders jersey. He may well swap it for green today, but he's got to win in order to do it, because the green jersey itself, on the back of Stefan Kung for BMC, is within this group right now. A lot of options for Orica Scott. I think it's Magnus Cort Nielsen for them, with Roger Kluger possibly being a default option for them as well. In fact, the men from down under Orica Scott are in a great place, and it could be the big Dane that they work for today. 15 seconds. Well, again, this is that gentle curve that I was telling you about, that curves to the left in the trees, the woodland. And when you've got this much road to play with, then they are still within sight, even on the curve. It will then turn back on itself, a little gentle curve right, which will bring us to the 5 kilometre to go marker. But frankly, out there's going to be a lot of tired legs. This has been at pace, and it's interesting that finally Viviani's come up towards the front.
Yeah, he was in the front on the left-hand side, but the key point to this stage is with 4 kilometres to go, you really have to be in the top 10 or 20 with 4 kilometres go, and this is why we're seeing a big push now from Viviani. Viviani won't be sprinting today, but he's trying to help out his sprinter, or his other sprinter, Danny Van Poppel. He has got him up towards the front. He just looked behind to see if he was in good position, but 4 kilometres, that corner at 4 kilometres to go will naturally thin out this peloton. A few tricky corners to the 1500 metre to go, and then it's pretty much directly all the way in. But you don't want to get caught up in any crashes, because people will be taking some risks.
Yeah, they will. Incredible pace at the moment. You saw what Viviani was doing, and I'm afraid it's paid for these guys. 8 seconds, and in fact that margin is now out. So Alex Dowsett and Dion Smith, good work by them. Combativity award, by the way, here is on kilometres in the break. It's not down to some jury. Thomas de Gent would wish that that had been the case during the Tour de France, where he was rather unkindly denied the combativity award after being in much of the breaks for much of the race. And in fact it went to Warren Barguil, the man who'd already won the King of the Mountains jersey. So I thought that was rather unfair. So did Thomas de Gent. It threatened not to race on the last day. Briefly, before his team said, come on, pick yourself up. But yeah, it seemed unjust, that. An injustice. 5.3 kilometres then, and we're, what, 1,300 metres from that crucial turn that they're going to start to make, and Dowsett and Smith still out there. Everyone else just getting themselves ready for the big assault, and that's precisely what we're going to have. What about Koen Wimmelfort for Rome Pot? They're getting their tangerine bodies up and into position on the left-hand side of your screen, right-hand side of the road, embedded in along with BMC and Trek Segafredo. Will look much of a muchness here, especially when you look back through what looks like a gel filter. But it's basically the fact that it's so grisly today. Peter Sagan's in a good place, and in fact right now he's dispensed with Burkhardt, and he's just embedded within the realms of just about everybody else. Going to put out the call all together in a short while, and then we're going to see potentially somebody else just roll through and have a dig. But it looks like the sprinters' day again, Brian. Yeah,
Ben Swift coming up in the left-hand side, first one to pass Dowsett. Greipel comes up doing some good teamwork here. A lot of it is just about positioning at the moment. They know that this crucial corner coming up, and the points race leader is coming up to this crucial point here, this roundabout.
Yeah, indeed. So this is that big turn. Best to be on the left-hand side. That's where Peter Sagan is. He sails through rather nicely in the unfamiliar blue jersey that he is wearing, which is of points leader, and they're starting to mix it up, and we love this. 3.9 kilometres to go. This looks like Lampere has decided that he's going to just shake a stick at everyone, but gives up on it right now. It's because there's another corner, so eases off the gas. He'll get the best break out of it, and he lays on the pace almost immediately out of it. Clever riding there. Yves Lampere for Quick Step Floors. He's 7th overall. He's only 12 seconds adrift. Would like a few more right here. Thank you very much. 3.5 to go then. We told you about these turns, and here is yet another one, and this I think is one of the most vicious that they're dealing with right now. Look at how deep they are. Some dive bombing as well as Lotto Jumbo themselves get themselves out of shape. Suddenly alarm bells going off for Lotto Jumbo. Groenewegen knows he's not where he needs to be, and in fact if this pace continues he's going to be way out of contention. They've got work to do to get back into this with 3.2 remaining. You can just see Lampard, he's trying hard, and the rider from Astana was trying to chase him down, but he can't quite get to him. But Stefan Kung decides to go on the left-hand side. He realises this is a danger point of the race. He wants to stay as near to the front as possible, and why not go on to the front? Yeah, at 3Ks, this is another of these 90-degree turns. So he does, he engages the chase, essentially, sails through that. There are 2 more corners, essentially, for them to take. The road does waver just a little bit. Here's the first phase of that. Wavers to the right. It'll come back to the left for the 2K to go marker. And then we've got a short 400 metres before we get to that roundabout. And once that's unwound, it's straight to the line, although it does pick up and descend the road ever so gently. Nothing gentle about this man's efforts right now, and Yves Lampere has buried himself. This is the sort of thing that Ilio Kaiser was given to doing a couple of years ago. Lampere it is that's gone with 2.4 to go, and he's got a good gap here. Now, this is going to require a chase, and I don't think the sprinters want this at all. Andre Greipel shooting the breeze, having a little vignette with Marcus Burghardt, and Lampere's still gone. I think he might make this stick, you know, with 2.1 to go. Let's have a look. He's going to be out of sight here. Watch him accelerate over the white paint, and away he goes. He's burning himself out here. 2 remaining.
Yeah, you can just see another attack off the front from Lotto Soudal, but Lampard has done this before. You can remember Dwardor Flanderen earlier this year, but Lampard started the day only 12 seconds down on the general classification, and that's why Stefan Kung was animated about coming to the front, and he was calling into his radio for a little bit of support. But one rider from Lotto Soudal just slightly off the front as we start coming up to this roundabout. We'll sweep round to the right-hand side, and then it's pretty much plain sailing all the way to the finishing line.
It could be a remarkable move by Yves Lampere. All credit to him. He's been brave enough to take it on. It's been a crazy day today, and there's Marcel Kittel adding to the question marks that are hovering over so many of the quick men. This man's fastest of all at the moment, at least here, and Yves Lampere is, well, can he possibly make this stick? I think he might. It's going to be a very, very late catch for the 26-year-old if he does get there. As you quite say, West Flanderen a couple of years ago went his way, and the Dwardor this time by as well. The crossing of Flanders. Well, let's see how he manages. It's hard to do on your own, especially when you've got this kind of firepower behind you, but it's misfiring at the moment as he heads towards the Flamme Rouge.
But it needs organisation behind, and who's going to try and bring Yves Lampard back? Strong rider, and that's the tactic of Quick Step today. You can just see them snaking across the front of the peloton. Nobody really wants to take it on because of the technical nature of the last few kilometres there. There's the teams are in all over the place, and it needs a bit of coordination, and there's absolutely no coordination at the moment. If they don't get it together, then Lampard could be stealing the stage and possibly stealing the lead.
I think it may well be exactly that, because he's got something of a gap at the moment. Here we go then. He's the hare, and the hounds are after him. If it's going to be a take, it's going to be at the last 10 metres, and all of a sudden they're realising alarm bells are going off. Lotto Soudal is here. This is for Jesper de Boist, dead centre as well. Working for Magnus Cort Nielsen is Orica. There you see as well Van Poppel's also in the mix, but buried at the moment. Where is Peter Sagan, we're asking ourselves. Bauhaus is coming up as well. They're mobbed across the road. I'm afraid it's all over. Francis de Jeux are getting re-engaged here. It's going to be Ganieri has a dig for them, but in the end, Trek Segafredo make it count. Edvard Turns had a go yesterday, and today he makes it his own.
Yeah, messy sprint in the end, but we said this every sprint of the BinckBank Tour, and Trek Segafredo got it right this time, and a magnificent win there for Ted Toynes, and you know, you can just see how happy he is with that. Sagan was on the right-hand side, but I think he was blocked out to this one, because it was all about numbers getting organised when we came on to the main road with 1,500 metres to go. I thought Lampard done a terrific job there. He just didn't have the legs in the last 200 metres, but Trek Segafredo had it right there. In this slight uphill finish, he came through, and I think he beat Kukelair to the line. Sagan, I think, was in 4th place, if I can see the points jersey. Just a little bit too much to do in the end.
Yeah, it was Kump for the United Arab Emirates that was in the frame, by the way, towards the end. Is the Greipel group right now. Guerrero buried in there as well. As you can see, Simon Gerrans for Orica Scott coming across the line. Well, Edvard Turns. He did a turn today, did he not? And that was a terrific piece of timing by the man from Trek. Said they were keeping quiet today, so it's proved. They led a lot of the chase yesterday. Today they saved their energies and delivered it with Ted.